How you doing, guys? I got the opportunity to get this book, The Prepper Next Door, and to read it and give a review of it. I haven't read the entire thing. As you can see, I'm almost done, but the guy who sent it to me, Charlie Palmer, I promised him I would do a review on it, and it has been a while, so I wanted to go ahead and do it now as I've read most of the book, just haven't got through the last couple pages. And I'm not being paid to do this review or anything like that. He did send me the book, just told me to check it out and say what I thought, but that's it. There's no no funny business. He just wanted an honest opinion of it. And so I read the book, and I like it. I mean, it's got a lot of information in there for someone who is really into prepping, like me, or people who may be watching my videos. Most of it is stuff that you would have already thought of, but I found myself reading through the book and going, okay, oh, right. And so there's definitely stuff in here for everyone. It seems to be oriented more towards someone who's in the beginning stages and hasn't been prepping for 10 years or something like that. But even if you have, there's a lot of good tips and suggestions in here that you might not have thought of. And it's always good to get a fresh perspective on something from someone who's been doing it for a long time, because people see things from different ways and different perspectives, and you may see something in here that you hadn't thought of. And there's a few things in here definitely that I hadn't thought of. The format of the book is, it's formatted more like a conversation, like if you were just to sit down and talk with someone who's knowledgeable about prepping, and that's sort of how it flows. So it's not a book that you would really like skim through to get quick tips or something like that. You need to sit down and read it, and that's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's just the way it's formatted. So depending on what your preference is, if you really like to just open it up and say quick tips for this chapter, or see a graph or something like that, this isn't how it's formatted. It's formatted just like a conversation, and that's kind of the flow that the book takes. And it is obviously broken up into chapters on topic, but within the chapters it just kind of starts off and goes to whatever logically comes next, and that works. Makes it for an easy read. It makes it so that if you're trying to as you're reading, you probably want to jot down stuff, because it can be a little difficult to find the exact spot where you've seen something interesting in the past. So I've just been like jotting stuff down, like, oh, that's a good idea, I'll jot it down, because of that formatting, it can make it a little difficult to just jump back and forth to different sections. You probably just want to start from the beginning and read straight through. And as I was reading this book, I found myself kept thinking like, oh, this part on water and everything is pretty detailed. He must have been a plumber. And then the next section is on power, electricity. I'm like, well, this is pretty detailed. Maybe he was an electrician. So either he was and it was on with the guns and everything like that too. So this guy has obviously put some dedicated research time into this, and seems knowledgeable on a very wide array of topics. And the only thing that I would have liked to see fleshed out a little bit more was the first aid section, but I can appreciate that if that was just the one area that he didn't have a lot of knowledge, that it's easier to just say not anything, than to try to beef it up when you really don't have that expertise, because there's plenty of detailed knowledge in a lot of the other sections. And these first aid section is obviously good. It's just not to the same levels that the same depth that he gets into most of the other topics. So, but there's a lot of resources out there for first aid, and it doesn't need to be in every book. And the advice that is in here on first aid is good. And other than that, it's great. There's the section I really like in the back, which is sort of keeping up with the times. You don't see a lot of books do this now, or yet anyways, maybe they're starting now, is the resources for preppers, including websites and specifically a lot of YouTube channels, which are great. And my YouTube channel is in there. How awesome is that? And that made me happy. And so that's cool, because it's great to see some crossover between like the internet and the books, so where someone who picked up this book and maybe has never gone on YouTube will now have the opportunity to see all these channels, and can get some more information that way, because YouTube is a great resource, but it's also great to have that information sitting down, like on paper somewhere, because you never know what's going to happen. So I definitely recommend picking up this book. It's good. Like I said, if you're a hardcore prepper, don't expect to find a whole lot of shit that you've never heard of, because it's, if you've been doing it for a while, you probably know most of it. There will definitely be some tips and tricks in here that you might not have thought of, and it's always a good idea to see things from a different perspective. And if you're just starting out, if you've only been doing it for a couple years, then there'll be a lot of stuff in here that could help you out, and a lot of suggestions and tips and tricks and just strategies for preparing. And yeah, it's great, and I definitely suggest taking a look at it if you get a chance.